Identity is defined in the dictionary as the condition of being oneself or itself, and not another. Each of our identities is a collective sum of our overall past unique experiences, how we dealt with them, and whether or not we learned from our results. We are, by definition, what we already know. Everyone is an individual who possesses a distinguished identity. Each person is influenced by everyday random happenstances differently than the next. James A. Baldwin wistfully stated, "All people are trapped in history, and history is trapped in them." We each have a story behind this. It is our identity. She was the bridge to the person who I am now, from the boy who I was. Her name is Helen. Although no longer a part of my life today, I still hail her as the sole catalyst which stimulated a mental metamorphosis that has molded my identity. If not for her, I would have continued to think, act, and be the unripened person I was 4 years ago. As an upcoming junior at Pioneer High School, I had thought myself invincible, that nothing could curb me. Oh, how ignorant and naive I was. With that said, my encounter with Helen had allowed me to experience what every adolescent before me had to go through to better understand oneself and their place in the world. Rejection. Albeit, distinct change did not happen instantly. The many mistakes I made with Helen gradually snowballed and developed my intrigue in the social dynamics between male and female. Helen began losing her attraction towards me, and I desperately wanted to reignite her interest. She liked me, not loved me. But ultimately, I was rejected. I obsessed about it for days, my mind avalanched with nerve-wracking thoughts. This isn't right. I did everything I was supposed to. Why did this happen to me? Me? It had dawned on me that I was my own worst enemy. Initially, I thought it unjust. It was my first rejection. Why wouldn't I? I was dismayed, perplexed, and my mind could not wrap around what had occurred. Sometimes, a mixture of all these feelings together blended in a sick concoction of emotional chemicals flooding through my central nervous system. I felt stripped of my masculinity. All of this because of one girl. All of this happened to me in 2 months. I did not expect girls to have this kind of power over me. I could not comprehend the gravity of it, and I panicked once I was aware of this fact. I felt like Andrew Lamb's mother in his description of her in his memoir, Child of Two Worlds. Inside, the refugee mother grieved for lost relatives, lost home and hearth, lost ways of life, a whole cherished world of intimate connections, scattered and uprooted, gone, gone, all gone. Gone were the possibilities that I had daydreamed. Gone were the sweet moments we shared that would never happen. The whole new world I imagined with Helen was all gone. Like Lamb's mother, I had no control over it. I wished to no longer feel this way anymore, and decided to do something, anything, about it. As she was, I was tragically disappointed in the wake of my romantic disaster, but soon enough, I transformed these emotions into an ambition for knowledge and understanding of attraction between the sexes. I yearned to determine what I had done wrong, and how could it be rectified, so it wouldn't happen again. First off, I deduced my errors, analyzed them, and sought after the solutions for correction until my thirst for answers was quenched. I was 16. Days turned into months, and months turned into years. I became obsessed with self-improvement and inner well-being, and as a result, I began emitting an aura of self-awareness that people around me noticed. Convicted by my education of social interactions, I learned from a plethora of resources such as the internet, books, etc., for advice and counsel for my dilemma. One day, during a round of my frequent walks through my favorite bookstore, Borders, I picked up a wise-looking ledger filled with quotations, skimmed the first few pages, and read a peculiar quote that caught my eye. Will Rogers' coy suggestion shone out like a blaze of light. Why not go out on a limb? That is where the fruit is. I read it again. Why not go out on a limb? That is where the fruit is. In other words, it meant taking the initiative will produce the results. I unknowingly had taken his pragmatic advice. If I had not been so concerned with expanding my horizons, I wouldn't have amended my social prowess. I had embarked on the quest to ascend the tree of knowledge and pick the proverbial forbidden fruit. After taking a bite of it, my eyes opened. Its taste was succulent yet bitter, causing my eyes to well up with dewy tears. I saw truth. I had lost someone potentially compatible for me in exchange for this wisdom. The truth came at a price, but I found that they were of equivalence in value. Even so, my level of self-confidence skyrocketed exponentially, and it made my posture straight as the trunk of a mighty sequoia redwood. That replaced my habitual slouching. I oozed this stuff. I felt newer and crisp, like the leaves of a freshly published novel. I felt elated with amiability, friendliness, and a positive frame mindset due to my melioration. It wasn't just about girls anymore, but something of a higher echelon of importance. My happiness. My happiness. I realized that I had put Helen on a pedestal and ungraciously placed myself on a tier below her. I wish I knew back then what I do now. My knowledge revealed to me that people respect you as much as you respect yourself. My chance with Helen was destroyed because I didn't know any better. Infatuated, my first blunder was not regarding myself with enough respect. I was always tense and jittery because I minded too much about what Helen thought of me. An attraction-reducing factor. Peering through hindsight, I didn't project the correct body language that allowed her to relax and be at ease whenever we were together. She would have been so had my composure been calm and collected. The minimal movement that conveyed self-assurance was non-existent. If only I had been more comfortable in my old skin and were enabled to speak my mind freely. But instead, like a balloon releasing stale air, I had filled in any awkward stillnesses between us with reddening, idle chatter, instead of coolly sitting in the power of my silence, enjoy her company, and simply let things be. Worst of all, I shouldn't have shied away from eye contact, but met her wispy gaze with more strong-willed eyes that she could respect. In retrospect, being unrequited was a blessing in disguise. Surely I came to terms and accepted it as a part of the circle of life. I saw it as the fastest way to find out if someone you're interested in feels the same towards you or not, and if not, to move on that much faster. It will happen again. I do not question it. I shall welcome rejection gracefully with open arms, embrace it, and bid farewell, with no hard feelings. When I was younger, I never thought this way before, because I grew up in a generation where Disney callously bombarded unsuspecting children with magical spells, wishing stars, and other infantile things like that. I dreamed that there would be a happily ever after if you persist and persevere. I've stopped dreaming since. I'm absolutely certain that experiences with people that matter to you can transcendentally wake you and reveal a whole new perspective of the world. My experience with Helen was red letter. She was my alarm clock that stirred me from my childhood slumber, and I'm grateful she woke me up so early in the morning of my life. Timely lessons from the School of Hard Knocks improved my emotional intelligence, social intelligence, and overall attitude that are vital to future success. As Frank Outlaw once said, watch your thoughts before they become words. Watch your words before they become actions. Watch your actions before they become habits. Watch your habits before they become character. Watch your character before it becomes your destiny. The fact is that that only we ourselves are in control of our character, our identity. Others can complement it and influence it, so we must watch who our friends are, as it will affect our thoughts, ergo, our destiny. Sadly, history is doomed to repeat itself, and generations of boys and girls to come will weather the same storm that Helen and I have. I will be there for them, through squall and cloud, as a dusting, well-read tome that will hold within its pages life's dearest, darkest secrets. As the palmist had scrutinized the 16-year-old teenager and enlightened him of his potency in Andrew Lamb's The Palmist, it occurred to the palmist that this was the face of someone who hadn't yet learned to be fearful of the weather. I, too, hope to find diamonds in the rough, enlighten them of their capability for great things, and polish them until they shine. I will be the one to boost them up to the fruit of knowledge on a lower hanging branch than what I had to climb. Even when my parchment is yellowed with age, I will share with them my story, my identity, and become a hero in theirs.